recording, so we'll have this for later. And we do have two special guests here with us today. We have Carrie Metters and Tony Garcia that are going to be helping us out with some announcements. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. So here is our agenda, and Carrie's going to be talking to us about provisioning and POIs. And then later, Tony will be giving us some updates on temporary appointments. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Carrie.
Thanks, Taryn. So I know a few of you on this call have already had a conversation with me about updates to provisioning, but we wanted to kind of announce this to everybody, what we're working on. So when we say provisioning, we're talking about the processes that grant access to things like email and SJSU1 and PeopleSoft and that sort of thing. So currently, this process begins once that future hire POI is created, whether that's on the staff side or the faculty side. And currently what happens is the SJSU1 and email access are typically granted overnight. Now over the weekend, it might take a little longer, but typically it's the next day that those are available for the candidate. And then the PeopleSoft and other system access is granted based on a number of other factors. Currently what happens is once that SJSU1 and the email are created, the candidate receives the email, and this is the incoming employee, I should have said, not candidate. They receive an email with their EMPL ID and their SJSU email, and there's some information in there about how to activate SJSU1. So part of the problem with that is that's all well and good, but the candidates then can access their email and other information many cases before they complete their I-9 or their other new hire paperwork. And we cannot have that happen. Nobody should be doing anything until that I-9 and their new hire paperwork are complete. So we've been talking about this for quite some time now, and we finally come up with a solution to modify this process. So, can someone, I thought I had access to move the slide and I was clicking and then nothing was happening. Thank you. So the new process, and likely it's going to be sometime in May is my guess when we're going to get it live. In the new world, the process will not begin until the I-9 and new hire paperwork are complete. So the access process will no longer be triggered by that future hire POI. The future hire POI will still be done. There will still be an EMPL ID created because we know we need that. And so what's going to happen going forward when we get this all in place is when that future hire POI is created, an email, and it'll probably happen overnight, an email will go to the candidate just with their ID. And hopefully we're going to try to include a link to the new hire paperwork because they have to have that ID in order to complete that. And we know obviously all of y'all out in the departments need that ID to get other things in process, like contracts or, phone access and that sort of thing. Then once the I-9 and the new hire paperwork are complete and they've been verified by Christie's team, then, and we have a process internally in PeopleSoft where there's a field that they're going to update, and then that will start to trigger the rest of the access. And then another email will go to the candidate with their email information and information about SJSU1. Okay. So what that means is nobody's going to get any access until they get that done. I mean, that's the bottom line of it. Nobody's going to get any access until they have that done. That means SJSU1, it means email, it means PeopleSoft, it means Canvas, it means everything. There will be no access until that paperwork and that I-9 are complete and verified by our office. Okay. I'm going to pause right there in case anybody has any questions before I go on to the other POI part.
And if you do have questions, you can go ahead and raise your hand and we can unmute you, or you can type them in the chat and we will get back to you.
And you can always email me separately if you don't want to ask it here. That's fine too. As soon as we're working with IT on this process, obviously, because they have to modify their programs that grant all this access. So once I have a better idea of a timeline, we'll definitely announce it to this group. I'm guessing at this point, it's going to be sometime in May. I would think mid to late May is my guess at this point, because we still have to test and everything. But this will ensure that we don't have anybody working, doing any kind of work, and we haven't validated that they're eligible to work here. So It's going to be a really good thing for everybody. It's something we should have done years ago, and we just finally kind of came to the place where we could find the right solution for it. Okay. So in light of that, oh, can we go to the next slide? I tried to click again. I'm dumb. I'm not teachable, apparently. So because of that, we are also going to make a change at the same time. So not today, but when we change the provisioning, we're going to change this process too, is the creation and maintenance of POIs. And that will be, the future hire POI is a little bit separate, but this will be volunteers, visiting scholars, others, that sort of thing. Auxiliaries are also done separately. This change that I'm about to tell you about does not impact anyone working in an auxiliary and keying POIs in auxiliaries. That is still going to be done the same way it is today. Okay. So once this is all in place, all future hire POI entry will be done automatically by the CHRS recruiting process. So there'll be no more manual keying of POIs by anyone out in the department. We're going to move all of the keying of POIs back to university personnel, and all of the future hire POIs will be handled automatically through that integration process in PeopleSoft. I know some of y'all like to get those keyed in early, but that is no longer going to happen. So we're going to use the delivered process, which is what we should be doing, and what we'll have to use in CHRS once we get there as well. So we are going to shift to that process. And obviously there will be staff and university personnel that can do something if we need to assist if there's an emergency situation. But we believe that this will be an effective method for everybody. And we'll evaluate it with y'all, down the road, of course. But we'll do that part for the future hire POIs. Then everything else is going to be keyed by UP staff, which is how it used to be done. Again, volunteers, visiting scholars, others, interns, those kind of things. Currently, the volunteers are keyed out on the department by department staff. And we worked with a number of you to put that in place a couple of years back. But with this change to provisioning and with some of the data entry concerns that we've been seeing with our POI entry, we're going to take it back. So there will be some updates to the POI forms, and all of the access will be removed to do the keying. You'll still be able to view the POI data. You just won't be able to key it any longer or update it. Okay. So that'll happen at the same time that we do the provisioning change. We just figured we'll do it all at once. So my guess is mid to late May at this point. Once I have a little bit more information from IT about we have a meeting like in the next couple of days, and then I might have a better idea on the timeline. But that's kind of my guess right now, is mid to late May. So wanted to let you know about that. My staff will be the primary keyers of the volunteers, visiting scholars, POI others. They already keep POI others and visiting scholars now. So primarily the change will be for the volunteers. This includes those of you in those departments that currently key POI others, because you have a lot of special session staff. So we're probably going to reach out to you separately. That's primarily School of Information to talk about what that process needs to look like, because I know that's a little different for y'all. So we'll be working with you separately on that. So look for an email from me. Oh, you do that too in College of Business. Thank you, Dora. So we'll reach out to you as well and talk about what that process needs to look like, because we'll be centralizing that again. It was previously, and then we moved it and then we moved it back, and it's gone back and forth a number of times. And who's to say it won't go back again sometime down in the future? But for now, that's what we're going to do. So between now and, whenever this provisioning is going to go live, we'll definitely sit down with y'all to talk about what that process needs to look like and why we were doing it in the first place. Is there another way we can accomplish what we were trying to do? So with all the special session folks that y'all have. So that is where we are. Again, timeline will be coming soon, but that's my best guess, is mid-May to end of May at this point. And then right now, business as usual. Right now is business as usual. Yes, there's no change to this today. Okay. There's no change to any of this today. It's coming soon. But we wanted to give you the heads up so you can be aware. So yes, if you have volunteer appointments that are in process now, you will still key them like you have been, okay? But as soon as we make this provisioning change, we'll make this change as well and just do it all at once rather than piecemealing it around, and then we'll go from there, okay? Any other questions? I know there was a question about EVC. Thank you for answering that, Christy. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to email me. And the process will not change for auxiliaries. Auxiliaries will continue. You will keep your access and you will continue to key your POIs as you do now, because that's really a separate situation. So, so yeah, auxiliaries, no change for you at all. Okay. Other questions I can answer. That was my last slide, right, Crystal? Okay. All right, and I have to step off the call. I apologize, y'all. I can only be here for a few minutes today. That's why I asked them to put me up front. But again, if you have other questions, feel free to ask them here and they can forward those to me or send me an email directly and I'm happy to answer those. Okay, likely what we will do is we will probably have a meeting about this particular topic when we are getting closer to the go live to talk about more of the details of everything and just answer more questions at that point too. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you for letting me barge into your meeting.
You're always welcome.
Thank you. All right. Y'all have a good one. Bye.
Okay, next we have Christy with some more exciting changes.
Thank you, Taryn. Okay, so I did want to talk about the non-CHRS Google form, and I want to thank everybody that has been using it. We've been able to process I-9s a lot better. Currently, the process is right now when you guys hire somebody that's not hired in CHRS, you guys complete the Google form, then send out a welcome letter with a link to the new hire paper form, new hire paperwork. We are actually going to take that over. So we are going to have you guys give out the offer letters and the appointment forms to the students or staff or faculty that are not being hired through CHRS recruiting. And then you guys will fill out the Google form. And we are actually going to start sending out on our end the welcome letter with the correct link based off of what you guys put in the non-CHRS Google form. So if you guys put that you guys are hiring a student assistant, we're going to send them the link to the new hire paperwork for the student assistant. If you tell us you guys are hiring a faculty or staff, we will actually send them the link to the faculty or staff. So we are going to take that on, and you guys won't have to do it anymore. With that being said, it is really important for you guys to complete the non-CHRS Google form as soon as the offer is given, so that way we can start the process immediately. And then I did have a question right now. So for the non-CHRS Google form, it will ask you guys if you guys are the people who should be getting the EVC, and if not, then who is the person. Just put who needs to receive the EVC and we will be sending it to that person specifically. Everybody does get an EVC, all staff, faculty, students. Sometimes we don't know who the department admin is that should be getting the EVC. So if you guys update your department admins, let us know, and then we can go ahead and update our sheets. So that way we know who to send the EVC to. But an EVC does go out to every admin when we complete an I-9 and new hire paperwork. No, you won't have to send out the email for university personnel, the welcome letter. You guys will still send out the offer letter and the appointment letter. So anything that you guys normally do other than that welcome letter that you guys were sending out, you guys will go ahead and continue doing that. My usual question, end users asked for feedback before this was decided. So this was actually decided because in the past meetings, we kept on getting the question of what link should we send them? So we decided that it was just easier if we send out the link based off of what you guys put in the non-CHRS Google form. And so everything will be the same. The welcome letter will be sent out the same. It's just what you guys put in the non-CHRS Google form is what we're going to be sending out on behalf of university personnel. I hope that wasn't too confusing. Anybody have any other questions? No? Okay, so that's my biggest change for the I-9 processing. Thank you, Taryn.
Thank you, Christy. And now we're going to turn it over to Tony, who has an update to share with us about temp appointment.
Thanks, Taryn. Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Garcia, Manager of Recruitment and Retention, for those of you that don't know me. I'm going to be speaking about a change to the temp support process and how to actually request a new one and extend one. So, Taryn, if you can, could you please click on the temp support request? So right now, the way to request an extension or a new appointment, you have to submit the temporary support classification and compensation DocuSign form. We're going to do away with that form for anything temporary, because at this point, to do recruitment, it doesn't require that it go all the way through all approvals. So we're going to basically do the same thing here for any type of temporary support request. So Tango, if you could click on the temp support. So again, this is in regards to anything that's a temp appointment, casual workers, special consultants, interim appointments, temporary reassignments, anything like that. This is the form that will be used to submit to UP in order to start that process or to extend it. The only thing that doesn't use this that's temporary is going to be a temporary recruitment that will still be done via a job card. So now, if you could go back to the slide, Taryn, please. So the reason for this change, there has been an issue that UP has been kind of running into a bit too often, and that's that when we have a temp appointment going, UP usually will send out a reminder that the appointment is going to be ending within 60 days. Most people will respond to us to let us know what that status of that position is, whether it's going to be extended or if it's going to be termed. But a little bit too often, we're not getting any type of responses. And what potentially happens is if the appointment was supposed to end, we're not terming it. So it just kind of lingers out there. The employee eventually gets a check that they shouldn't have, and then we have to go through that process of trying to get back the money. And that's not a good situation to be in. So the change here that we're going to be doing is all temporary appointments that are in process. If whatever deadline, whatever the end date is on that appointment letter or extension letter, that's the date that it will end if we have not heard back from the department on an extension. It's really important that we get the status of that appointment by the 15th of the month prior to when the end date for that position. So let's say the appointment is supposed to end in May, we should be getting that appointment, either extension or term, by the 15th of April. Just as an example of how far out we should be getting that information, just so that there's enough time on our ends to process it, because it does have to go through recruiting or class comp and then all the way down to payroll, if need be, for extensions and whatnot. So that can all be done now via the temp support request form. So it doesn't have to go through the class comp. I know that was another step that added some time to the extension or requesting of the position. But hopefully with this change now, it will reduce the amount of time that it takes to get that all processed. So I'll go ahead and stop there and see if there's any questions. I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah,
Sarah,
it
what-
looks like the questions are still for what Christy shared. No, ESS will not send the email about the end dates. That will come from recruitment.
Yeah, so the courtesy email will come from either the recruiter or Hung and I, as far as, you know, for interim appointments or temporary assignments. And we will do our best to get those out there in a timely manner. But it really is up to the departments to let us know, and they should be on top of, you know, the end dates for those temp appointments.
And Mai has a question about the new guidelines being available somewhere online. And I'm not sure if those are, I'm not sure which guidelines. Jessica has a question, so I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you, Jessica. Go ahead.
Tony, can you please share with us again? So the temp support request form is no longer in DocuSign. We just use the one that's on the website.
Right. So the temp support, well, there's the request to process classification and or compensation transactions that was needed in order to like start the process or extend it. For anything temp related now, that's not, you don't need to go through that DocuSign anymore. It's just going to be this temp support request form that's needed.
Okay.
And that will be sent to onboarding. And then we'll divvy it up on our end to where it needs to go. But it doesn't need to go all the way up through potentially Joanne, right? With that DocuSign form. Now it just goes up to, I believe it's your VP or your designee in your division.
Okay. The signature part, I'm a little concerned about because it says signature of VP or designee. It doesn't allow for like the department to sign off on it. That means like if they have a request for a temp, it just comes straight to our to the provost office.
If that's the way it's set up in the division, right? If there are additional steps that need to be done in the division, that's up to that division to kind of take care of, right? They need to have that approval structure in place. So we're taking that one step out by not having that class comp form done anymore. But the temp support request, I mean, you can send it to as many people as you want before it gets to us.
Right, but there's only one line for signature on the temp support request form, and that's for the VP office or designee. So you know how in the academic affairs division, we have a department office, and then there's a dean's office, and then the provost office. So if a department wants to hire temp support, if they fill out this form, they're just going to send it to the provost office and it bypasses the dean's office. So what I'm asking, I guess, is another layer of approval on there. So let's say maybe just like an appropriate administrator before the VP or designee.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely look at that and see if we can just add one more line in there.
Okay, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Sorry, there's lots of different layers of approval in our division, and just having one approval at the VP level is not going to help our departments.
How has it been working so far, Jessica, on your, because this form, we've been using this one for a while now.
Oh, we created our own, we duplicated this and we added the additional lines for the signature.
Okay.
Nothing else is different except for that was a signature. And I'm happy to share that with you if that's something that you want to set up for the whole campus, but let me pull it up right now so you can see what I added on there.
Well, I think what we could do is we could definitely add one more additional line, but it is going to still be up to each division if they want to have additional lines, right? Because our part was to try to limit the amount of time that's going to take approvals on our end. So whatever, so whatever is needed on the division side, that's going to be on the division to take care of.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
so we do have a few questions, so I'm gonna back up a little bit in the chat. And okay, so the end date on the appointment will not be enough. We will need to submit this temp support request. I'm assuming this is Joydy's question. I'm assuming she means to end it.
So to end it, if you're going to end it early, I mean, there should definitely be conversations with your recruiter or with classification and compensation to figure out timelines if those are needed. If it gets to the point where we haven't received a status update and the end date does come and passes, the position that appointment is going to just end.
And also keep in mind that when it is ended, ESS and payroll will still go through their normal steps of reaching out to the employee, having absences reported, having them approved for the last month so that we can pay out any unused vacation and that type of thing. So that part won't change. It's just that they'll be separated prior to their end date. For special consultants, do we still go through OnBase, still do the pre-approval addition to the temp support request form?
So this is just for staff and NPP. I think, is that in regards to faculty?
It just said for special consultant.
If it is for faculty, there's been no changes made to that process. If this is a faculty special consultant.
Yeah,
And
this
then-
is strictly for staff and NPP.
And then Mai is asking if the guidelines will be available online with the new rules and the deadline of the 15th.
There's going to be an email sent out later today regarding all this information. I'm not sure if this information is going to be anywhere specifically online as far as this process of ending temp appointments. I'll have to check into that, look into that.
And then Avelia had feedback that sometimes they're not notified until after the end date. And do you want to address that?
Yeah, so I mean, we try to send out our courtesy emails 30, 60 days out. But just like everyone else on campus, sometimes we get a little too busy and other priorities take their toll. And so we try our best to get those notifications out there, but it really is on those hiring managers and those departments to be on top of their temp appointments.
And Erin has some clarification on if they want to end a temp appointment earlier. No, it should be the profile. If you're trying to separate an employee, you should submit the profile the same way you do now. So this temp appointment form, is there even an option to end it? No, there's not an option to end it. So let me pull this back over. I hope you guys can see this, but on here you will use this only if you want to extend it.
So you can use that form. You can just click on other and explain in the comment, because we do need to know as far as if a temp appointment is ending earlier, right? Especially if it's like an emergency hire, there are certain timelines that we have to follow by contract. If it's a temporary assignment, those ones we don't necessarily need to. We can just kind of move people back to their regular position. Here's the thing. This would be kind of like the official way to request that, but if you contact your recruiter or you contact Hung or myself, we're gonna work on it. We're gonna get that situation taken care of for you.
Okay, and just to add on to that, I think we're definitely going to have to put together a flow chart, to make it very clear, because a temporary assignment is different than a temporary appointment. So Erin, for your question specifically, if it's a temporary appointment where they're hired for 3 months and after 3 months they don't work here anymore, that is a permanent separation and it does require an employee profile. But if you have a regular employee that is on a temporary reassignment or some type of a temporary status where they're going to revert back to their old position, that's not a permanent separation. So we will definitely have a flow chart to make it clear on what those are. Those are very good questions, and we need to make sure that that's very clear. So Tony and I will work on that and make sure that we have that laid out very clearly, and we'll give an exact date of when this change is happening. So again, this is just giving a heads up that this is coming. So we'll make sure that all of this information is clear before we go live. And Holly, yes, she was asking about the faculty for the special consultants, and so that has not changed. And then Avelia, have changes been made as to how many times we can extend a temp position? Recently, we were told we cannot extend or appoint in a different temp position.
That's dependent on the contract. None of the contracts have changed as of yet, so we're still going by the previous contract.
So with questions about that, it's probably best, is it best to reach out to the recruiter, to you directly?
Yes, definitely.
Jessica, for extensions, you need the temp support request form and employee profile. For an extension, no.
For an
Well, go ahead,
Yes,
Tony.
for an extension, yes, we would need the temp support request form and the employee profile to extend that, because
Okay.
that's going to have also the information of what's going on.
Are there any more questions? That was a big one. Do we upload the profile with the request form?
Well, you're going to be sending that along with in the email to the onboarding. So you would just send it all, attach it all to that email.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions. But if you think of any, just throw them in the chat and we can circle back around. Next, I'm going to talk about a change to the attendance process for the academic departments, and hopefully this will be a little easier of a change. I have received a lot of feedback. Actually, since I've started, this has been the process that I've received the most feedback on, both internally and externally, that this process is just inefficient. It's very labor intensive. It takes one person a full day in payroll to prepare all the attendance forms and send them out to the academic departments. It's sent out after the payments have already issued, and payroll receives it back usually on payday when it's too late to do anything. The process is going to change in CHRS anyway, so we're kind of trying to spread out the changes. So what we're going to do is that we're no longer going to be sending the attendance sheet to academic departments. So starting with the April pay period, we will not be sending the attendance anymore, and departments will not have to bring it back to us on payday. And the reason that this was done was a long time ago when absence management first was implemented on campus. There were some issues with the CFA collective bargaining agreement where they had not agreed to faculty reporting no leave taken in absence management. And since then, CFA has actually agreed to that, and all faculty are actually supposed to be self-reporting or having a timekeeper report for them, but we're not changing that piece of this right now. What we're changing is just that we're not having that paper signed for a lot of the reasons that I've said here. What we have found looking back at this process is that we're not discovering any errors in payments from the attendance. The attendance is not completed where separated employees are not being crossed out. New employees are not being added. The boxes are no longer being checked for standard or how many days they should be paid. So it's just a sheet that is signed that's not providing us any information. So what we have done internally, and we've been working on this for the last 4 or 5 months to make sure that we had it smoothed out before we started trying to go down this road, is that we're actually taking that attendance report internally and we're comparing it to what is happening with the paychecks so that we can actually identify any issues, any discrepancies, any errors before the checks are released. And that we found that way we've been able to actually prevent quite a few overpayments. We've been able to catch some people who didn't get paid that should have. We've also done another audit, as you know, where we've talked about before, where we're comparing contract data to job data. So payroll has a few internal audits that is allowing us to find the errors ahead of time. And then also what I've found is that academic departments have reached out to me ahead of time before we've done the attendance and said, hey, I'm not seeing this person on my active position list. Can you confirm that they've been hired? So what I was seeing is that departments were already using the active position list to basically audit for that, to do what the attendance does, but just be able to do it ahead of time. Another really good thing about the active position list is that you can run it multiple times and it's updated throughout the month, where the attendance is a snapshot in time and you never get to see anything that's corrected on the back end. So that's kind of the change. I hope that this is a good one because I have never received any positive feedback about the attendance process. But if there are any questions on this, let me know. If not, we will be sending out an email to everybody who normally gets the attendance to let everyone know that it will no longer be required and kind of what we're doing in lieu of that. So that was my update. I do see a question circling back to the POIs. So we will, can someone address the POI and vacation requirement? Oh, vaccine. Got you. Yeah, I'll forward this message to Carrie and let her address that. So are there any questions about the attendance? Perfect. Next, we're going to go on to Crystal, who's going to talk about vaccination for faculty.
Well, good morning, everyone. And hopefully on Jody's chat, maybe I might be able to provide some information from the faculty perspective. But in terms of my updates for temp faculty appointments, I have a few. And one is regarding the proof of vaccination. So at this time, especially for those who are hiring faculty, the proof of vaccination is no longer required, a required step in order to hire new faculty. So if you are doing this, what you can do is you can simply skip that step and move on to the next step, which I believe is the step regarding the accurate background check. So you will see, and this is this change has just happened recently. We are currently in the process of updating all of our letters, steps, and such like that. So you'll slowly see those changes. If there are any outstanding requests for proof of vaccination, those are going to be moved forward with or without the actual proof. So we are moving through those. Our website is being updated. Job postings are being updated. The faculty appointment log as well is being updated to remove this step. So again, proof of vaccination is no longer a required step to hire a new faculty, and we are in the process of getting rid of those requirements. So you'll see those things changing probably within these next couple of days. Previous to today, we were already trying to make those updates. So just keep that in mind, and if anything, skip that step and move on to the accurate background check step. In addition, another update regarding temp faculty appointments. We've been kind of alluding to this within the past couple of meetings, within the past couple of months. I know that previously it was announced that sometime in March, that all temporary faculty appointments would have to be submitted in OnBase. I do apologize, that date came and went. And ever since my time here, I was not able to send out any official confirmation for that date. So at this point, we have moved that to Monday, May 1st. I believe most colleges, most departments are already in the process of converting to submitting temporary faculty appointments to OnBase. At this point, we would ask that everybody 100% use OnBase to submit their temporary faculty appointments as of Monday, May 1st. After this meeting, I will be sending out some communication with some documentation for instructions. I've also did a quick video tutorial, so that way you can use that as a guide to upload your appointments. I will say it's very similar to how the appointments for ASCs are, ISA, CAs, and GAs. So I'm hoping that with your already the experience that you have with uploading ISA, CAs, and GAs, that this process shouldn't be too difficult. But again, we do have some of those resources available for you that will be coming out later today. Any questions for updates for temporary faculty? And it looks like Jody confirmed that the question was answered, so no need to ask Carrie. Okay, thank you. And if I can, okay, next slide. I do want to announce as well that for the faculty employment specialist, we have 2 new members that have joined the faculty services team. So I am very happy to announce that we have 2 people, Eva Momoki and Scott Nguyen. They have joined us as faculty employment specialists. They are currently in training, currently learning everything regarding CHRS recruiting, regarding OnBase, temp faculty, the ASC process, all of that. Eva is here today. She can say hi, or you can chat her just to say hi. Unfortunately, Scott is not here with us today, but they are in training. They are learning everything. So as we keep moving along, we will have them more visible. We'll have them more involved with all of the processes. So you will be hearing their names more from this point forward. So welcome to Eva and Scott.
You got to wave, Eva, so everybody can see you. Say hello.
Hello, I'm learning a lot. Crystal has been very patient and very welcoming. The team in UP has been very welcoming as well. And you'll see me and Scott around. Thank you.
We're
Thank
so
you,
happy
Eva.
to have you.
Oh, thank you so much.
And that is all for me.
Okay. With that, that ends what we had for you today. So if there are any additional questions, or if anybody would like to be unmuted and give some feedback, or if anyone has ideas, as always, for what you would like to see talked about in a future session. Faculty services, are we still using the log?
The faculty appointment log, yes, you should still be using that log.
Future session on substitute appointments. Awesome. That is a really good suggestion, Liddy. Thank you.
Thank you for the
We will make a
suggestion.
note of that.
And Taryn, would you be able to unmute Joy T? She has a question.
I don't see her. Did you raise your hand?
Oh.
I'm gonna try to find her. The hand raising brings you to the top. Let me try over here.
I'm trying
There she
as
is.
well.
Okay, you should be able to unmute yourself. Okay.
Hi, Crystal. I'm gonna go back just for the ISAs and GAs and the hiring. I know we've been having emails back and forth regarding like the SC1 transcripts, employee questionnaires. So we only have to submit what's on OnBase, correct? The other stuff can just be handled by the departments.
That is correct. Yes. The items with the boxes in OnBase that are required, those are the items that you have to submit for the ISA part, TAs, and GA positions.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Erin.
I'm really thrilled by that too. I need to hire an ISA with work study, but the on-base form doesn't have any area to
Add a position
add a
number.
position number.
So Nikki, for the ISA, you would have to submit an employee profile. And on the employee profile, that is where you will indicate the position number. In addition to the dates, in addition to the pay rate and such like that.
Who is the POI contact for questions? I know that's Carrie's team. Do they have a general
Yes.
email for that?
Give me 1 second. Let me
Oh,
see
we
here.
didn't even talk about that. We added this at the very beginning and I was supposed to talk about it. So my bad. We added our link to our UP emails, which is a page that we have for all the general emails. So if you're ever not sure who to email regarding any specific thing, this is just all the blanket emails. So you don't have to look for one person. Let's just
And so
see.
to answer, you can go to
Yeah,
UP-volunteer-appointments. That team will
Period.
be able to answer questions about volunteer and POI appointments.
yes, I will put the link in the chat right now, and it's also in our slides so that you will have it later. But
I
I'll
did
also
that.
put it in the chat right now. Sorry, Christy, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just.
Oh,
added-
you already did it. Okay, sorry. I'm a little slow. Trying to do too many things at once. Okay, did we miss any questions? Thank you, Joydy. We are trying. Got the link. Okay, awesome. I don't see any other questions. But keep the feedback coming of topics that you guys want to see. We really do want to cover what you guys want to hear about. So we appreciate that. And Jessica has a question. So, oh, my cat is going crazy. Jessica, let me find you. Okay, you should be able to unmute, Jessica.
Good question. And
Oh, sorry, I asked it in the chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
will we ever bring back a staff temple? We haven't had that in almost decades now. But it's probably something that we can think about and see what would be the best route for us to be able to do that. But I can't say for sure.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next month.